Welcome to the Beefy Boys Breakdown. It's episode 128 today. We're coming to you a little bit late, but late's better than never, as they say. Going over UFC Fight Night Song versus Simone, Yadong versus Simone, and Asian naming structures be whooping my ass. It has been since the Yao Ming days, y'all. So,
I titled the
sorry
video
about it.
"Song versus Simone." It sounded a little better
Yeah,
than Yadong versus Simone. Uh,
rolls off the tongue. Rolls
yeah,
off
and
the
I
tongue for sure.
guess I guess his name is Yadong Song. Like if it was like our language, you know what I'm saying? If our naming structure was there, like his first name is Yadong, so
Yes, it was like same thing with Yao, right? Because we called him Yao Ming, but Yao was on the back of the jersey. It's like the surname more so than the last name,
yeah.
which is cool. I'm not saying one's better or the other. I just say it'd be whooping my ass. I'm not like looking down on it. Like I just,
Oh, you know what I learned by the way? I randomly ran into this Russian person, right, who's like been here for like a year and a half and like speaks really good English.
Putin. Okay.
Yeah, no, that year and a half. They
Oh,
left before all
Vladdy.
that, but like their last name was Alexeva, right? And
Oh,
I was like, that's a cool last name. She was like, it's just my dad's name, and I was like, yeah, like it's your family's name. She was like, no, my dad is Alexei, so I'm Alexeva. So their last name, if you're a Russian woman, is your father's first. So like Alexandra or Alexandra, or what is it? Alexander is Alexandra Nova if it's a girl. Her last name is Alexandra Nova.
there was a girl named with that same name on last week's card, right? Alexiva, right? She fought on night, or
Yeah,
was that tonight?
that's
Oh no,
tonight.
that's tonight.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
That's what made me think of
Oh
it. Was
yeah.
like, so her dad's name
All
is
right.
Alexi. Like we just know that.
No, that's interesting for sure, man.
Anyway, that was
Yeah,
a
I mean,
little just into the naming structure thing, and not to say
yeah, yeah.
American names aren't weird because we'll dive into it with hyphenated first name Jamie Lynn Horth
Yeah.
minus 165 in the bantamweight division versus Haley Cowan plus 140. Haley Cowan apparently a extremely good athlete. I'm not sure what sport, to be quite honest with you, though.
I want to say the broadcast mentioned something about soccer. I could be
That
wrong.
sounded like what I
I,
thought it was too, but
yeah, yeah, no, and girls soccer, I mean, it's one of the most intense girl sports for sure. I mean, obviously outside of combat sports, but like you watch a girl soccer game, they get after it for
I would
sure.
definitely say one of those
Um,
sports where technically they can like hold up with men too. Like they may just not be quite as fast or as tall or big, you know. So like the physical limitations, but the skill limitations, I don't think are really there for women in soccer. I think they're great at soccer technically.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, same with like basketball. You can see like women hop in pickup games, not like NBA caliber, but like pickup rec league
Yeah, oh
that
yeah.
level. There's not really like a gap there for sure. But yeah, we got some great athletes, two debutantes. Jamie Lynn Hort. It's a weird read on her. She's 33 years old, making her debut at only 5-0. So like that's a lot just to kind of juxtapose it at one time. Minus 165 favorites. So Vegas liked her. Fight taking place in the bantamweight division. However, Cowan did miss weight, came in at 137.5, which, no, I swear to God, we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. But like, if the UFC had a real women's featherweight division, I have a strong suspicion Cowan's not even like attempting to make bantamweight, right?
Yeah, she looks big for the weight class, like big for the weight class.
And so, I mean, I guess we can go round by round. Although most people seem to kind of see this fight the same way. I don't really think it's really much debate, which is nice for once. But round one, I mean, I thought Horth, between the body kicks and the head kick in the later at the end of the round, she was kind of using the body kicks to set up the hands, like dropping the guard of Cowan. It was kind of nice work. I like the damage and the striking for Horth in one. I imagine you did too.
I did, yeah, the body kicks, that big head kick. I mean, Cowan was definitely looking for her comfort zone in the fight of getting it pressed to the cage, of making it like that physical duel that was in close. But I thought Horth was using the kicks to keep that range and did. I mean, neither woman did the most damage, but definitely I think
No,
Horth
but
won the damage battle.
well, and I'll be real, like especially after that Dumont fight last night, and there's just so many snoozy push him against the cage bantamweights that like I immediately started rooting for Horth hard. Like we do not need Cowan in here. We don't, because that means I'm gonna have to watch it fucking 3 times a year on a shitty fight night, and it's gonna might actually put me to sleep. I be watching these cards late sometimes. I legit for the health of the podcast and my sleeping patterns. We don't need more fighters like Cowan. Like that style. And like I that style, like I'm not saying, all right, have a couple, yeah, mix it up, and like you got to defend it, right? Like it's part of the game. All fair arguments. We just don't need another one. We don't. Like we don't.
I agree with you.
So
I agree
I
with you, man.
started
Like,
immediately pulling for Hort after seeing in round two. What I'm getting at, round two, Cowan was able to pretty much push it against the cage, snoozy clinch.
yeah, caught the
I
caught the
mean,
kick and got the takedown. A little bit of ground and pound at the start of it, and then just snooze control.
yes, and so it's just like I immediately was like, okay, so Hort is throwing head kicks. Cowan is doing what seemingly every bantamweight women's fighter does, and just fights hella boring. So, like I said, I didn't bet this one. Actually, neither of us bet this week. Kind of, I think it's just a schedule conflict, hard to get to the books, and kind of a lot of meh, who cares type of fights. Like, I don't think I felt uber strong one way or the other on many of these. So yeah, just a no bet week for us, just to prove that we don't need to call that fucking helpline. You got to remind yourself every once
Yeah,
in a while.
sometimes you don't need to call the helpline, and also, like you said, man, there were just not any. There were no numbers that were just like leaping off the screen, juicy at me. Um, the ESPN bets girl Minty Bets said the Buday Collier over was a good bet, which I'll never bet heavyweights over. That's just like against my literal religion in betting, so I couldn't take that. So yeah, I would just say in total, there was no one I just loved, so there was no one I
Well,
was
no,
just
it's like me.
having to bet on.
Set the over under for flyweights at 1.5. I'm taking it. Doesn't mean I'm hitting it, but I'm taking it. Like
Right?
it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. Like
like
heavyweight under 2.5, flyweight over 1.5. It's simple math.
yeah, no, for sure, man. I'm with you there. Yeah, so we have it tied up 1-1 going into round three. It does look like Horth is fading on the cardio tip a little bit, but it's kind of all what met the eye, or she dug deep or something. Because when round three started, she seemed just fine. Or really, they were both tired, but Horth was in there able to compete. And I think round three, I said, I don't think there's a lot of controversy on this fight. I think most people saw it the same way. Round three goes to Horth, damage. She was really starting to touch the chin up and clip Cowan. Cowan was able to get on top, but then Horth hit a sweep, like an awesome sweep from bottom, and was able to recover the position. She landed some head kicks, and then Cowan was just doing more snoozy clinch, and honestly, some of the worst striking defense I've seen. Like
Her
a lot
arms
of that
were
was
done.
fatigue.
Yeah.
A lot of that was fatigue, but like, all right, like Bobby Green at that. If your arms are down, you better be using some head movement. Neither of which was like taking place. Like, yeah, like I said, I mean, fatigue makes cowards of us all. I get it. Like she's pretty much toast, but striking D looked, especially on a debut, because like I've been kind of harping on this point that the UFC has been signing like too green of prospects lately, and I'm still kind of on that. I mean, Hort gets the win at improves to 6-0, but like the skill set
Didn't
is
look
so
fully
incomplete
developed. Yeah, I agree with you.
from both, and so it's just like I'm kind of over these 5-0, or like especially 5-0 at 33. Like what you're telling me, what in 3 years she's going to be 36 and she'll be hitting her prime. Then like I just like what's the sell here? Like what are you trying to convince me? Like all right, there's like a young, like a high stand, or you're 23 years old, you're 7-0. Like all right, my mind can like project towards the future of like maybe diamond in the rough. What do we have here? Like Max Holloway, like type shit. But like when you're 33 years old, you're 5-0, and you're edging out victories over Cowan. I just don't
Well,
know what I'm supposed to do with that.
here's what I'll
What I
say:
mean?
is it's one thing when your name is Alex Pereira, and it's one thing when your name is Haley Cowan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Or
Jamie
Jamie
Lynn
Lynn
Horth.
Horth. I mean to say, like, there's a very stark difference in those two
Yeah,
people's skill sets coming into the sport and justifying that record and their place in the UFC. Right? Like Alex Pereira clearly 4-0 deserved to be in the UFC. This girl
yeah,
6-0 very questionably shouldn't be there.
yeah. And I mean, I gotta say, I do like she goes for it. I mean, the head kick she was throwing and landing, by the way. Like I said, when you're landing head kicks on a girl with some of the worst striking defense I've literally ever laid eyes on, like how do I even fucking juxtapose that? And for that reason, let's keep it fucking pushing here, because this next fight was actually like pretty sick. I thought like this next debutante, there may be a little something on him.
He
We got
looks.
Journey Newson.
Oh,
Well,
well, go ahead and introduce him.
that's
Yeah,
who
yeah,
we're
yeah,
not.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah,
That's not who we're saying the nice things about. Just about
yeah.
Journey Newson. It's
Oh,
my Vegas liked him though. Minus 170 coming in against the debutante Marcus McGee, plus 145 dog. He's also 32 years old making his debut, but
All
looked like
right.
he was up to the speed. Like looked like he
Are
was.
we gonna talk about him being 32 or him looking like he's 60?
Oh
Bro, he
well,
looks
I mean,
so old. That was crazy. Like,
he
has he been in
definitely looks.
wars for his whole life?
He looks like he's like a bad guy in like a
Yeah.
Fast and Furious movie. I don't know. He has a very
Yeah.
interesting look to him, but
It is
but
wild.
but also like speaking of being in wars his whole life, he fights like it, right? Like he is
Yeah.
quick and vicious and like knows what the fuck he's doing in there. Like looks very different than like a horse. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Like
yeah.
a
He was a
just
dog.
a calculated dog too, though,
And
because it wasn't like he was like a brawler. Like he was just lightning quick, bad intentions, like sound, like decently sound technique. Like I like him.
took the fight on super short notice too.
Like
And
3 days. Training partner of Sugar Sean.
yeah, and granted they fought at 140, so he fought 4 pounds off of his actual weight, or 5 pounds off of his actual weight. But still, like, to make that on a week's notice is crazy. And
And
then
he
to
wasn't a
look
small bantamweight. Like he was a pretty thick guy for
good
135.
good point as well. And then honestly,
And
like, for the way he was going for it in the first round, and like both guys were throwing every shot with like bad intentions to start the fight. It
yeah,
was like,
this was a banger.
yeah, it was essentially, well, and one guy does get a bonus. The winner here gets a bonus,
Oh hell yeah.
but it was one of those things where it looked like if either guy connected with one of those power shots, they were gonna like just start teeing off on the other one.
Yeah, I mean it's the ultimate cliche, but this was one where like 45 seconds into this fight, you're like, this one ain't going the distance, boys. But 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 yeah, man. And also like, I'll be real, like we've always been curious, like who the fuck Sugar Sean trains with? Because he trains in Arizona with Tim Welch, obviously. He doesn't really go to Cejudo's gym. So like like
Right.
we've always had this question, like who are these mystery men that are like getting Sean to a world class training camp? You know what I'm saying? Like, and we've even questioned it, like, is that what's going to end up biting Sean in the ass? But apparently he's training with these unknown savages like Marcus McGee. Like Marcus McGee, like that seems like a tough guy to get some rounds with. Like even if you are Sugar's level.
Yeah, Marcus McGee had great striking technique, was really aggressive, but like had solid like defense with his head movement and hands when he was moving in. So it was like a safe aggression. And honestly, I mean, Newsom was like providing a lot of defensive head movement in his own right, right? Like neither guy could really connect like the harder shots. They both were seeing each other's big punches and dodging them. Until maybe the very end, I think that McGee started to land maybe some
Yeah.
bigger shots.
Well, and McGee was stuffing the takedowns of Newsom,
Yeah,
which you could tell Newsom would not want to be on the feet with McGee. Like you're right, like avoiding the major ones, but McGee was definitely getting the better of them on the feet, and like definitely quicker and faster and just
for
better on
sure.
the feet, and probably stronger too for that matter. And then so Newsom's path to victory was through takedowns, and then once McGee started stuffing those takedowns, like I'll be real, like you're right, this was a banger, and I'm not trying to say like obviously nobody quit, but like there was a moment where you just saw Newsom being like, well, fuck this. I'm in for a
Yeah,
tough night. You know what I mean?
like
Like
this
just
is
like
outside of my wheelhouse. If he's stopping my number one skill set and I can't stop his number one skill set, I know where this is headed.
yeah, there's almost like a moment. But yeah, so I mean, I think it's fair to say McGee won one. I don't think many people would debate that. And then literally, part of my notes for round one, I was like, this guy passes the eye test. Like his movement, like the speed, the ferocity,
The
you can tell he's a
combination
dog.
striking.
Yeah, it wasn't like rudimentary level shit. Like he honestly didn't even look like a guy making his debut, which is what I'm talking about. Like these are the guys I like the UFC signing. Like the guys that like they already know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not like learning on the job. Like I don't know. I think there's like prime example of like why I like that shit. Now and then round two, keep it pushing. It finishes in a sub, but it stems from the striking. McGee sits him down with a vicious straight left hand and
Yeah,
then sinks in the rear naked choke, gets him out of there. Even that, like that awareness, not a green rookie move to have a guy
let me
very
close my
badly
door.
hurt.
Sorry, these dogs.
But yeah, just like I said, I was impressed by McGee. A lot of younger guys, a lot of greener guys. I'm just saying, like points of the fight IQ that he sunk in that choke, got him out of there. Like he knows how to finish a guy. Like a lot of these younger, greener, 5-0, 6-0 fumble those opportunities to get a guy out of there. And I don't know. I like McGee a lot, man. I mean, another bantamweight, right? And I mean, it's so deep, but I mean, another fun one, another fun one. Like, I don't think a lot of the like high stands in these young pups, these Simons, these like I don't think they want to see a guy like McGee, man.
McGee got a
I'll be
bonus
real.
off of it too, which I really love for him in his debut after like making short notice. Like I'm sure that 50 grand helped his pockets out a whole lot. And like he said in his post fight interview,
Did he get a bonus? The UFC website either I'm not saying he didn't, but they might have fumbled it because they don't have it listed as a bonus on the website. But I could be wrong.
yeah, I have Performance Tonight Marcus McGee right here on their website.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, maybe yeah, whatever. It's all good. But yeah, I mean, interesting prospect. It's hard to even call him a prospect. Like he seems like he's ready to go. And I hope he did get a bonus because that was a fantastic finish. So I mean, great
Yeah,
performance, great finish. And I don't know, we can keep it pushing if you want.
I never even realized that they described how the finish takes place on their website. That's pretty cool. Never knew that. Anyway, yeah, let's keep it pushing. I will say though, I like the fact that in his post-fight interview, Marcus McGee did note that he used to work like 60 hours a week and train, and then started training full time and became like an LFA champ or something of the sort. And now he's still training full time, and he just feels like he can keep growing. So we'll see.
That's nuts, dude. Working 60 hours a week and training MMA. Like
I don't know how he had the time or
that's
energy.
like I've done less than that and been like maxed out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
Me
a
too.
special type of human. Like that's a special type of human. And like, yeah, they don't fucking grow on trees, man. That's why like I'm kind of a believer. Just like I mean, I don't know. Like we'll see how far he can take him. But trains with Sugar Sean. I mean, unbelievable work ethic. Like he has the physical tools, the quickness, the power, the speed. He has the mentality, the
Yeah, I was gonna
IQ. I
say
mean,
mentally tough as hell.
cardio doesn't seem to be an issue. I mean, I'm not trying to like nut ride too hard, but like fucking checking boxes.
Yeah, I'm big on it, but like you said, let's keep it pushing. Uh, we'll move to these. It was a bantamweight women. I forgot to write the weight. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
bantamweight because
yeah.
Alexeva missed weight. By she could have fought Marcus McGee actually at that 140 because that's what she weighed in at. But she
Yeah,
also had the odds against her at plus 255 against Stephanie Egger, who did make weight at minus 305.
yeah, this is wild. Alex Siva only 4-1. She's making her debut, plus 255 dog, misses weight. Man, I mean, what you do want to talk about not making friends with your boss, not making friends with the company, like missing weight in your debut. Bad look, especially at 4-1. Like they did you a favor by signing you. You know, I've never heard of her. It's not like this. There's no Alex Pereira. You know what I mean? It's not like people are banging down the doors saying well, you have to sign Alex Siva. You know, they kind of do you a favor, and I don't know, man, bad luck. But at the same time, if there was a legit featherweight division, probably wouldn't be an issue. But also, like if you know you can't make bantamweight, like I don't know, it's hard to say. Like you got to take the check. You're hungry. You're a young fighter, but like I don't know, man. Like I just don't know why these girls just don't go to the PFL or Bellator. Or, like just, I mean, go to like a place that has your weight class. Like I don't know, man. Like
Why can't the UFC just let these girls fight at 140? Like, why would they sign her to be a bantamweight? Why wouldn't they just sign her to be a featherweight?
it's like a self, what do they call it? Self-fulfilling prophecy. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like if
Like
you're not gonna let a
they,
featherweight fight at featherweight, you're not gonna have a featherweight division, and then you're also not gonna attract other featherweights because
and
you
then
don't
they're
have
like,
that
oh,
division.
we're all the featherweights. Like
Yeah, it's like you
there's
keep
no
signing up as
featherweights.
bantamweights. Like, don't quit making them
Literally.
do that.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. But it's also sounds like we're letting her off the hook, but it's a tough spot there. But anyway, man, this fight get a first round finish here. I'm really surprised she didn't get a bonus. Honestly, like I thought this was slightly. Oh well, she missed weight, so that actually that makes
Yeah,
perfect
that's
sense why
why.
she didn't get a bonus. Finish though, finish bonus worthy. Finish was fucking slick as fuck,
Oh yeah,
especially against Egger,
oh
who
yeah.
Egger can
She
grapple. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, let her almost like I wouldn't say let her took her back, but kind of like got shrugged, had Egger on her back, grabbed the arm, got back to the elbow, and then rolled forward to the knee. Got the knee, came through.
our roll.
Yeah, and rolled into the knee bar. Now Egger defended it just fine for the first 30 seconds probably, and then
I think it blew, dude. I
yeah,
think her
that's
knee
what I'm
is
saying.
fucked.
And then it wasn't fine.
Mikhail's just at home saying like this motherfucker tapped, like you know. Check this chick out. Can you
Yeah, he's
believe
at
this
home
shit?
on his wheelchair saying, "Look at
Yeah.
this motherfucker tapping."
If you're gonna get knee surgery, you might as well pay for it with your win bonus. But
Yeah, this guy is going like
fucking
this around his house, just wheels.
yeah, man. Yeah, that's interesting. I can go in on the home and Kai situation, but yeah, I mean, really, I mean, before this, I mean, honestly, Alex Siva wasn't looking that great until she was. I mean, the fight only lasts 2 minutes and 11 seconds, but cashes as a plus 255 dog. Um, I don't know. Edgar's going to be out for a while. It's tough for her, but I mean that's how the sport goes. I mean you feed the vets to the prospects and keep it pushing. Unfortunately, because I mean
I,
like,
I
Edgar's good, but obviously she's not like world class, like top flight good. But she's damn good. She's like a good
I
gatekeeper. And
want to say
Alex Siva.
I want to say that they said before the weight miss, Alex Siva was at a plus 165 or something like that. Like it was a much closer fight line, and then she missed weight, and the odds like blew up for Egger because people thought she had a bad weight cut. I think she just didn't want to cut that extra weight and said, "I just want to keep my energy. It's my first fight. Like I need to win. Like I don't care if I make
I'll
weight
say
or not." Which is a weird take, but I guess it
that
worked.
line she had was hilarious because they call her
Bruh,
what Russian
I
Ronda.
do my best work when they're behind me. That's what she said at the end of the fight.
Well, also, so she used to go by Russian Ronda. And she's like, and DC was talking about
Oh,
how in the
this.
interview he asked her about it, and like, yeah, when I had long hair, I looked like Ronda Rousey, and then she's like, now I look like Henry Cejudo, because and then it's funny because like she like,
She
oh,
does.
it's not just that she has short hair; it's literally the Henry Cejudo haircut.
It
Like
like
it's
bobs
just
on her
long
head
enough
the
and like
same way. It like
the
sprouts in the front. It's so nice, dude.
like honestly, like fire sense of humor. Like is she gonna be just like the women's bantamweight Paulo Costa, just like misses weight and cracks jokes and just like fuck it, like
Yeah,
we're in this bitch.
I
Like
would love to see it without the overlay of the replay and like see what they look like in the octagon when she's saying the final part of her interview because you can hear DC like laughing on the mic because like when the translator's saying it, he's like laughing saying it, and I think she's like fucking with him while he's saying it. So I just like I think she's really funny.
yeah, she might be hilarious. I mean, yeah. So I mean, we'll see what we got there with her. I said with these fucking fighters have had 5 fights, 6 fights, it's just so hard to just know where it goes. You know what I mean? It's like I talk about all the time. It's like these 19-year-old baseball players or 19-year-old basketball players. Like we just gotta wait and see. You know what I mean? Like nobody knows. This could go either way. So holler at me in 4 years and we'll have an answer. It's almost like like a draft in another sport. But we'll keep it pushing, man. I thought this next fight's actually like fairly meaningful for the flyweight division, unranked, but like just outside. This may have been 16 versus 17. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
That's what this felt like to me. This felt like a very meaningful fight in the flyweight division because it's like Charles Johnson has had those attempts at guys that are like in the rankings and look really good, and his losses look pretty good on his resume even still, and his
but
wins
you
are
can
good.
tell they want to see big things from Johnson by the fights they give him, including this one.
And you can tell that they know Durden is a guy that's on a streak, is like kind of finding his like. Now I'm not going to say that Durden has more tools than Johnson because I think Johnson actually has more, but I think Durden has some points that are sharper, some points of attack that he's just better at and that can force. And I think that was kind of the test here, right? Was like
And
some
Durden's a dog. Like the self belief Durden has, pretty like every fighter says the right thing, and of course nobody's scared or all that. But like Durden really will fight anybody and fight you hard. You know what I mean? Like he's just one of those guys. Like hate to say it, but like seriously, like just them lunch pail kind of guy.
well, and ever since his Mikhail fight, he's looked a lot better.
Yeah, I definitely could tell he took that loss and made some adjustments and worked harder, all that type of shit. Which, like I said, lunch pail guy.
Yeah,
But
hundred
yeah, man.
percent.
So Vegas had this as a coin flip, pretty much. I mean, Durden plus 115, Johnson minus 135. Not gonna lie, like leading up to this, I probably would have taken the Johnson minus 135. Like
I
he
would
is a
have
much
too
bigger
had we
guy,
bet for sure.
and then like Johnson has the Olympic wrestling background, and Durden's path to victory is
Olympic
essentially
Olympic track.
Oh, it's Olympic track. Okay, so
Yeah.
he's just like that level of athlete and has like turned it into pretty good
I think you're in
wrestler.
the 1600.
Wow, that's okay. That is very different than being an Olympic wrestler, though. So yeah, thanks for correcting me on that. But yeah, so obviously has the cardio and the athleticism there, and then Durden. I mean, he's just tenacious, you know. But round one was really, I thought, the only close round. Really, the only round, in my opinion, really worth kind of getting into detail on. It's like Durden had the back for like 2 minutes and got like three takedowns. But Johnson, at the very, very end of the round, had Durden in a deep reverse triangle, and Durden was literally saved by the bell. Like, I mean, 1, 2, 3 more seconds, and Durden's probably subbed or unconscious.
Yeah,
I
you know
mean,
what I thought was weird about that too was Dominic Cruz was like, it's not cutting off the blood or the oxygen. He's fine here, and I was like, I think he's gonna go to sleep if this is 10 more seconds in the round.
yeah, I disagree as well. Like, it looked like it was in there. It looked like he was in big
And
trouble.
we've seen it before.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I gave the round to Durden, but like I did struggle. Like literally, like he had to kind of wake himself up at the end of the round. Like, I mean, but also, I mean, Johnson lost the vast majority of the round. So and I mean, that reverse triangle wasn't a damaging submission. So like I went Durden, but like if you went Johnson, like I honestly don't hate it.
I went Durden as well. I thought just that control for as much in the round as he had, and then him not being able to essentially tap Durden or make him go unconscious essentially just makes that a control position as well with no damage, right? Like, end of the day. I know it's a more dangerous control, but it's
No,
still just
you're not
control.
wrong.
So I
Yeah.
still went with Durden because neither guy really did much damage, but Durden had a ton of control.
Yeah, for sure, man. And then I mean, for the rest, I mean, pretty much rounds two and three are very similar in the fact that every round starts on their feet, obviously. And Johnson would get the better of Durden on the feet for a brief moment. And then Durden would start doing his thing. I mean, I think Durden had 4 takedowns and two, and 3 takedowns and three, or something wild like that. I mean,
Yeah, but three he missed his first three attempts, and then he
you're
got it
right.
on
That
his
is a
fourth.
part.
He was it was a lot. The third round stands out to me more than any round, just because Charles Johnson actually starts to defend the takedown and strike back offensively, not just waiting for Durden to come in at him. Like, he would defend the takedown and then fire back, which I hadn't seen him do the whole rest of the fight.
Right. And then at round two, Johnson was getting the damage off at the end of the round. Johnson just would like essentially lose like 4 minutes of each round
Right,
and
and then
win
have
like
one
one
good
minute of
minute.
each round.
I agree
Yeah.
entirely. He
One,
just couldn't put it all together, and that's a credit to Durden just being a grinder too.
exactly. Exactly. Like he just, Durden's cardio, Durden's tenacity, Durden's ability to stick to the fucking game plan and not get like lured by either ego or laziness into like Johnson's style of fight. I mean, he just wanted, he was just relentless, man. And I mean, it wasn't the most fun style, and I don't think Durden will ever saw it in the arena, but like tough night out. And I mean, that's three in a row for him. I mean,
Yeah.
if they give him a ranked guy next, especially at flyweight, I mean, I'm not mad at it.
I mean, the bottom end of flyweight is Sumu Darji, Tagir Lundbekov, and Bruno Silva. Little Bruno Silva. Weird there's two of them.
Yeah, little Bruno, no doubt. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at any one of those. I mean, I think he matches up good with a guy like Ulanbekov.
Yeah, I was going to say that would be
And,
the fight I would try to get if I were him. He should have called for
and
that.
Sumardarji, I mean, that's a very dangerous fight for him. But if he can just wrestle fuck him, I mean, there's a path to victory there for sure. He could beat him.
100%. I 100% agree with that too.
So I mean, yeah, I think Durden is setting himself up nicely for some big things and probably get his way up off the prelims, perhaps if he gets one of those matchups. But and then Johnson, like I said, he keeps taking these L's, but like none of them are to slouches, and it's like it's just he may be a guy that is just always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Like I don't know, like there's a lot of nice things to say about Johnson, but he does struggle to put it together on fight night. But he also fights like 5 times a year. Is he just flyweight Kevin Holland? Like he's good.
It's kind of how he
Like
feels. Like, he's really fun. He's really good. I don't think he's ever
Fights a
going to
lot.
be a top 10 guy.
Flyweight hauling. That might be what we have to call him from now on. But yeah, Jordan gets the unanimous 30-27, which I mean I thought was deserved. That's how I scored it. That's how you scored it. But we can keep it pushing here because honestly, I mean, one of the more fun fights on this whole card
This fight
was
was
up next.
super fun. It was, I mean, for me, it was fight of the night up to this point. You know, I mean, you could argue,
Oh,
what was it earlier, that McGee and Newsom was, but I just thought for the length this fight ended up going, this was my fight of the night up to that point.
yeah, up to this point, it was awesome. Yeah, shout out Minty Betts calling the over on the fucking heavyweight banger. But this is the prime. I mean, even though it hit, this is the reason why we don't like those kind of bets. Both of these guys almost went to sleep like 8 times.
Yeah,
Before,
like I would have gone into cardiac arrest before I won my money on that bet.
No, exactly. Like the real way to win the bet is just to cash that life insurance policy. But
I mean, Jake Collier plus 110, Martin Buday minus 130. Like it should already tell you based on the odds that it's anybody's fight.
I'll be real though. If I would have bet this fight, it would have been. I probably would have hammered Buday at minus 130.
I would have
I mean,
too.
He's 11-1. Collier is what, like 13-9 or 13-8, something like that.
Yeah,
but
a real salty 13-8 though.
Real salty 13-8. It just goes to show, man, that the matchmakers. I mean, the styles make fights. Like that's true because, like on paper, really shouldn't have been close. It was very, very close. It was.
I mean,
this was an absolute
first
heater.
round. I thought Collier was giving him the hands.
I gave it
I mean,
to
he
him,
was
man.
just faster. He was all over him, and as far as combos, he was getting him kind of pressed on octagon control sense, like where he wanted him to be with his back to the fence, so he could fire off on him.
He was mixing in low kicks. He got some ground and pound off. I mean, he was going to all 3 levels. Like, I mean, there was a certain element of slop because it was heavyweights, but honestly, it was a pretty high level. I mean, going to all 3. How many heavyweights go to all 3 levels? Like, not a ton, you know. Like,
I mean, to Buday's credit, he was trying to check the kicks. He was firing back to the body a little bit and trying to cover up and fire back to the head. Now, I think he only got off like half the shots of Collier, and I think the strike numbers on this fight actually do kind of paint a picture of how the rounds go, oddly enough. But that's because I think the most impactful moments are all on the feet. Most of the fight takes place on the feet, too. So, like, significant strike numbers are very telling in this story, which is not always the case. But, like, I only say that because there's, like, if you could look at it minute by minute, I guarantee there's a wave at the 7-point mark where, like, you start to see the paces change very, very dramatically.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, speaking of significant strike numbers, I mean, that really was the story of round 2 and Buday's comeback. I mean, he just was getting more volume off. He wasn't being pushed up against the cage. The clinch knees to the body against the soft body Collier.
Collier did not like the knees to the body. He visibly showed like pain to those or did not want to stay for those.
Looking better than Ryan Garcia though, but yeah. But yeah, no. Between the numbers and the clinch knees to the body and just the overall damage and perception and body language, he was giving Collier some work and too. So yeah, I think everybody had it tied up 1-1 going into 3, which is why this fight was so entertaining and awesome. Because like heavyweights tied up going into the 3rd round, each guy is pretty much landing clean. Like not a whole lot of defense for either guy in this one.
But I will say it's like the first 90 seconds to 2 minutes of round 2 where like Collier's still looking good and fresh, and then like that fatigue really set in for him. You could tell. And maybe that's Buday's body shots that were starting to like
the knees to the body. Yeah,
right.
I mean, those things probably go hand in hand.
Right, because the last 3 minutes of round 2 is where Buday starts to find his like gas pedal and starts to kind of light Collier up. And like we said about strike numbers, he actually wins that round of strike numbers after overtaking him in the first 2 minutes.
Yes, yeah, for sure, man. And then round 3, I mean, pretty much more Buday clinch knees. He got some ground and pound off at the end of the round. Collier pretty much faded.
Faded hard.
You know, faded hard. Yeah,
I was surprised he didn't get finished there in the last 90 seconds to the last minute.
Me too. I thought a finish was coming. But that's why, yeah, like Minty Bet's trying to flex that like over bet. Like, okay, it hit this time, but like good luck making a living on that. Like
they were cracking each other in the first round.
Yeah, yeah, no
And then
doubt, no
Collier was
doubt. I mean,
getting cracked in the third, even at the start of the
it
third.
exactly. No, for sure. So yeah, all three judges had Buday 29 and 28 or 29-28. You know, all three judges unanimous decisions. That's how we saw it as well. I mean, Buday 11. I mean, moves on to 12-1. I mean, that record is getting like, especially at heavyweight, like that record's getting pretty impressive. I mean, now, I mean, squeaking by Collier and getting cracked. I mean, I don't think. I think people are pretty lukewarm on him. I'm just saying, 12-1 is hard to sneeze at. And honestly, like how Romanov's kind of been shit in the bed, I wouldn't mind seeing the Romanov matchup.
I wouldn't mind it either. And then I also would say that Chris Dawkins is going to go down to 205, right? Didn't he announce that?
Yeah,
So that's
I
going to open up
believe
a
so.
ranking spot. So whoever slides in there, I mean, hell, it could be Buday.
It could be
I could see
Buday.
people doing that, fresh on their minds, 12-1.
Like how many heavyweights are unranked at 12-1? Like I don't think another guy
Yeah,
really like that exists. So
I couldn't name another. You're right. So
now,
and with respect to that, yeah.
real quick, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time, but I am curious on who these guys are Buday's beat. I'm going his Tapology right now. So he's 3-0 in the UFC, 1-0 on the Contender Series. He's beaten Collier, obviously, Brisky. I remember that fight. Chris Barnett, which that has a decent little name value. Yeah, all of his wins are by finishes and the lower promotions. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think he's a Fugazi 12-1. Like I think this guy, like, I'm not saying he's perfect, and like there are ways to beat him, but I mean, I don't really have. I don't think it's like some tuna can 12-1. Honestly.
Yeah, I don't know that he's a top 5 guy, but he's young, so like he's got to have a skill set that needs to, he's going to keep developing that skill set. But I really like him as
And
a
he's
prospect.
big.
He's big.
He's
really
big.
big.
He's a guy that cuts to make heavyweight. Like he's a big guy.
Yeah, he used to weigh like 390. They said.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, he was the guy who's a pro gamer, huh?
Yeah.
Play video games like 20 hours a day and shit. And he was
Yeah.
like, that's cool. Because I guarantee you, he like says some version of like, oh, it's like I'm the video game now. Like I guarantee he views fighting somewhere as like he's controlling the.
I'm sure of it. That strategy takes a big part of his gameplay.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So,
I mean, because of like, the games he played.
I think them having him be the featured prelim over like Cody Durden and guys like that show that like I think they would be opening to put him in the rankings, giving him a Romanov, you know what I mean? Like
I agree.
Yeah, we may have something on our hands here. Like I mean, we'll see, but like heavyweight, I love. There's like a new little wrinkle in heavyweight because for so long it was just the same. I mean, I say that as we get a Rosenstruik main card next week, but it was just Volkov.
But it's Almeida.
But it's against Almeida,
right?
Exactly.
It's like how do you want to phrase that statement? Like we have an Almeida main card next week. It sounds all kinds of different.
No doubt, and I'm high as anybody on Almeida. That's going to be awesome. I'm going to bet my left nut on it, but like. Yeah, no, man. I mean, that wraps up the prelims. We'll wrap this up, get to this main card. I know you're juiced to talk about Josh Quinlan, but
yes, sir, Josh Steroids Quinlan.
All right, bro. But yeah, thanks for the welcome to the channel. Appreciate you. Check out some other videos. Like, subscribe, hit the thumbs up. We'll be right back in just a moment to talk some main.